Then we now switch to the next presentation on the ECS SRA by Elisabeth Steimetz of EPoSS, Patrick Cogez of AENEAS, and Patrick Pype of ARTEMIS-IA. Then I will stop sharing my screen. The floor is yours, Elisabeth.
So good morning, everybody, and a happy and healthy new year to all of you from my side. And it's my pleasure today to announce the major update of the ECS Sria 2021 has been released this morning at 9 o'clock on all the websites of our industry associations, on the brokerage website, Penta website. So you can find it through different channels, and I hope you can see my screen and. Because I at the moment can't see it.
Yes, your screen is very
Okay.
well visible.
Okay, wonderful. It has been announced throughout the whole morning, this kind of document as being a very important and crucial document for our community, for the cause, as it is a bottom-up research innovation agenda that we created commonly throughout the last year. So it has been really a tremendous effort. For those who are not familiar that much with the ECS Sria up to now, just a very brief look back on where did it come from and who is responsible. So it is the strategic research agenda of the three industry associations, AENEAS, ARTEMIS, and EPoSS. And this is also why today the three chairs of this ECS Sria, Patrick Cogez from AENEAS, Patrick Pype on behalf of ARTEMIS, and I on behalf of EPoSS are presenting this to you today. So in 2014, when we started closer collaboration in that time in the ENIAC environment and in other formats, we started with three different strategic research agendas. And in 2018, the first common one, called ECS SRA at that time, has been published. But as you can see on the icons, it was a bit like, I would say, a merge of the different SRAs that were available in that time. And I think what we have achieved now with these new common ECS Sria is really a document where where everything is really interconnected, and so the communities have really grown together. And I think this is what can be seen throughout the document, and also having a look at the team that created it. So what is new in it? First of all, not in all of the presentations it was yet called ECS Sria. So we added an I for innovation, and of course innovation is key. And so definitely this is what we are tackling here. And we created something that is funding agnostic. So it is looking up to 15 years ahead, and in the long-term chapter, even beyond that. So it is laying a basis for many different topics and things we are planning to develop together in the future. And so it should be the basis for KDT. We heard about KDT this morning, but also for the Eureka clusters. So our ECS SRA has been the basis for Excel for many years. And so, of course, we hope that the ECS Sria now will be the basis for KDT up to 2030, which does not mean that we are not changing this document. So we are updating it every year. But we don't do this kind of major update as we did it this time every year, of course. So we think we are well prepared for the upcoming years, but we will do, of course, a cycle every year, an update of all the chapters, and check what is outdated and what needs to be included to be innovative in the future. And beyond that, as has been stated by Peter already, it's also the basis for Penta and Euripides. And Caroline mentioned this morning that we are currently preparing a new cluster commonly together with the three industry associations in the new cluster environment. And of course, we hope that it will also be the basis for that. But as I said, it has been a really great team effort, and those of you that participated in the ECS Brokerage Event last year in Brussels, when we were able to meet physically still, so hope we can do that again next year. There we kicked off the process. We presented the last year's 2020 version, and we asked you in a poll, and of course we came with a poll today again. We asked you, what are you willing to contribute to the ECS Sria 2021? And having a look at the numbers of the people who actually contributed, I would like to thank, first of all, not only the people in the front now, the 3 chairmen, but of course the core team consisting of 12 members. So we are part of this core team. We had 53 section leaders. So in the former time, we called them chapter leaders, but having a look at the new structure, you can see that we have divided it into different sections, and we now have basically only 3 chapters, main chapters of the ECS Sria. And so 53 people were either chapter leader or co-leader, and we had more than 300 contributors. So it has been really a huge team effort, but I would also like to thank those in the back, especially Monica Cortofuentes, who was in charge of doing the graphical layout together with the graphics designer, and of course the communication staff at the 3 associations who worked all night long, I would say, to have the document released everywhere on all the websites and so on. So many thanks to everybody who contributed. And you promised, the whole audience promised that, or at least 79% of the people participating at the ECS Brokerage last year promised to contribute to the ECS Sria. So I would like to do a poll now and ask you, all of you who are now online, who actually contributed. And so maybe Ariane, if you could, yeah. So please just use the poll and give us your feedback, and we will wait for a second. And wait for the result of the poll. So I hope everybody. Oh, okay. So there's still room for improvement. So, last year, 75% of you said you contributed, and now we see that only 25 of the audience today actually did it. Okay, it's not the same audience than last year, but nevertheless, I think it is a higher number than the people that replied last year, because last year it was only, I would say, something like 20% in the room who participated. So we are working on that, and we ask you, of course, for your continuous input and contribution to this topic. Okay, so now let me come to the content and to what is in the ECS Sria and what is actually new with regard to the older versions. So I think the most struggling thing is that it has a new structure, reflecting the future needs, I would say, especially if we look at cross-sectional technologies. I will come to that in a minute. What we did, and I think what perfectly matches also with what we heard from Paco with regard to the missions and the main objectives of the European Commissions, we did an analysis of the major challenges that we have identified for the individual chapters, and we came up with 4 main objectives that we consider of highest importance for our community, and where ECS can contribute really to the societal and needs of our community and of Europe, and of course to the digitalization, to the Green Deal, to sovereignty aspects, and the autonomy of Europe. And so Patrick Pype will show you these main objectives in a minute. Beyond that, we worked on global timelines. So in former times, we had timelines in every chapter. Now we have a short-term, mid-term, and long-term global timeline. Patrick Cogez will present that very briefly to you. But of course, for all details, you should have an intensive look into the document. We broadened the scope. So we have integrated photonics. Now in a couple of chapters, people from the integrated photonics community contributing to the individual chapters. So it's not a single chapter on that topic, but it's really integrated into the things that we are planning to do. The same holds for flexible electronic topics. And the higher layers of software are covered by an individual chapter, system of systems chapter. And also, of course, the embedded software chapter is now called embedded software and beyond. We have a common glossary because we figured out that the definitions of specific terms are different in the community and different on the different layers of technology. So if you talk about a device, people working on the ENEAS side have a different thing in mind than people maybe on the EPoSS or especially on the ARTEMIS side. So we had to come to a common language, and we have created this common glossary for that. And we have updated, and this has been done also in the last months still. So between the first draft and the version that is now available, we have really further worked on the long-term vision chapter. So it's really worth having a look at it. And beyond that, we have prepared an executive summary of the whole document, which is not yet released, but where we are really in the final loop and aligning. So this has been all in a nutshell. What is the most striking is the new structure. So we have basically 3 core chapters. The first one is the foundational technology layers chapter. So this starts with process technologies, equipment, materials, manufacturing, and then goes up the technology stack to systems of systems. And so these 4 sub-chapters are really building the fundamental basis for the technologies that have to be developed. And across these chapters, what is new now, we have these what we call the cross-sectional technologies, because in the core team, when we started the process, we figured out that topics like artificial intelligence or connectivity throughout the whole technology stack. So they have to go across all these different areas. And the same holds for architecture design and for quality, reliability, safety, and cybersecurity. So these topics are now all covered in the chapter 2, and in the chapter 3 we have, of course, the application chapters. And what is new here is that we have a whole chapter on agri-food and natural resources. So having a look at the chapters have different structures, so that the key technology chapters and the cross-sectional technology chapters are more bottom up, while the application areas are more written top down, having a look at the from what are the demands from the demand side, and transferring this into the technology challenges. So this is a bit in a nutshell how the structure looks like. And before it's getting too boring and you know this already, let me ask you another question in our poll. So you're planning to submit a proposal. So we have basically 2 questions now. The first one is, in which of the areas given here are you planning to submit a proposal? You can click several answers. So you have the option to give us your feedback on what are you interested in. In the second question, we will ask you about the application areas. So waiting for your reply. So in a second, Ariane will show the results. Wow. Yeah, I think we were really right in identifying artificial intelligence, edge computing, and advanced control, and giving it an own chapter. So it seems to be one of the really highest importance for our community at the moment. Personally, I also like the response on components, modules, and systems integration. So it looks like a lot of EPoSS community is around. And but you see that all of the chapters are present. Having a look at the application areas, I'm a bit surprised to see that the digital industry is really ahead, because in former years we always had the highest contribution and the highest interest in the mobility area. But nevertheless, I think it's a good match. So we are looking forward to your project ideas. And with that, I would like to hand over to my colleague Patrick Pype, who is already there, and he will now introduce the main objectives of the ECS Sria to you. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Elisabeth. And first of all, also from my side, Happy New Year to everyone. And my main hope is to stay healthy on one hand, and on the other hand, to be able to meet again face to face in 2021, that at least we can discuss face to face. As Elisabeth stated, I will cover quickly the main objectives taken up by the SRIA. What we have been doing is we have been looking at the political agendas in Europe, as well as in the different countries in Europe. And on the other hand, we have been looking bottom up on what do we cover in the SRA and how are these linked to these main objectives. And so we came up with the 4 objectives. First, to boost industrial competitiveness in Europe through interdisciplinary technology innovations. Second, to ensure the European digital autonomy through secure, safe and reliable ECS supporting key European application domains. The third one is, of course, the Green Deal and sustainability. And the fourth one is to further evolve towards the European digital age and exploit this by the full potential of intelligent and autonomous ECS-based systems. If we look to the SRIA, we see that all the different sections or all the different challenges can be linked towards these 4 main objectives. Of course, this is too small to read through, but at the top you see the 4 main objectives and below you see the different sections and challenges. And I just want to give you one example where we look into the Green Deal and where we link this to 3 of all the different chapters and sections in the SRIA, which is mobility, industry and health. And here you see the different sections that contribute to the Green Deal: electrification, safe and environmentally neutral light mobility, affordable, automated and connected mobility, which are the automotive or the mobility ones. Also in industry, we are covering the Green Deal in responsive and smart production and sustainable production. And in health, we also have a number of examples. Also in the other chapters, as stated, this is just an extract from the SRIA. We cover all these elements of the 4 main objectives in the different chapters. So now I would like also to ask your support for the next poll. You here see the 4 main objectives, and the question in the next poll is: which is the prime objective you plan to cover in your projects? So I ask Ariane if she can launch the next poll. I don't see the screen. Okay, now I see. So please answer what is the main objective you plan to cover in your projects. You can only give one answer because we really would like to see if there is one winner or if they are quite equally balanced. So we are just waiting now on the results until a large number of all of you have answered the question. So if you don't not yet answer, please do so. And now we have the results. And yes, quite amazing. Industrial competitiveness is a clear winner with 50%. And then the others are 23 towards the European digital age. Digital autonomy is number 3, and very strange, the Green Deal and sustainability is only at the 4th position. So it's worthwhile to see what are the results. And in fact, with this, I would like to conclude, and I would like to give the floor to Patrick Cogez, who will talk to us about the timelines in the SRIA. So thank you, everyone, and talk to you next time.
please unmute Patrick? You are still muted.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I think so. Yes. Well, sorry about that. The unmute button has just disappeared from my screen, actually moved from down the screen to up. Anyway, I hope you can see my screen, and I apologize in advance for the people who were already at the FX, which I think is roughly 50% of the current audience, and so they will hear this talk twice, but anyway. So I'd like to start by this famous quote from Lao Tzu of a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And what we mean by that is that, yes, we have those, long-term objective, 15 years and beyond. But of course, to reach those very ambitious goals, we have also to look at all the intermediary steps that we have to take to get there. And that's the reason why we don't just define those long-term goals, but we also define intermediary milestones, which we have grouped around 3 times period. Short term, let's say in 5 years from now, where the industry has a fairly precise idea of what it can and want to reach. Medium term, where there is still reasonable good knowledge of what can possibly be achieved. And finally, long term, which is 10 years and beyond from now, where the expected achievements are, of course, more of a prospective nature. And what we mean when we put a milestone in one of those 3 time periods, so to speak, is that the described features are expected to be available as electronics component and systems at TRL close to commercialization. So at least maybe prototype early commercialization. And of course, we have in the introductory chapter derived those global roadmaps, but detailed timetables are available in each of the application sections, and you will get more details there. So just to give you a flavor of what it looks like. Of course, I'm not expecting you to be able to read the fine print here, but basically in each of those short, medium, long-term timelines, you will find the 14 sections that Elisabeth has been talking about, grouped into the 3 chapters: foundational technology layers, cross-sectional technologies, and key application areas. And what is also important to note is that there is a link. It's not, those milestones from the different sections are definitely not independent from each other, but there is a strong correlation. Like, for example, thanks to achieving the milestones of having materials enabling recycling, repair, even maybe biodegradable materials, we hope that we will be able to support the widespread deployment of sensors to monitor the environment, which is one of the milestones expected to be achieved by the Agri-Food and Natural Resources section. And that will be actually enabled or made even more effective because we will hopefully have advanced artificial intelligence at the edge solutions, which is one of the milestones identified by the Artificial Intelligence, Edge Computing, and Advanced Control section. And so this were, let's say, this was an example given for the short term. Of course, we have also medium term, long term. And those milestones are also not independent from the main objectives that were just presented by Patrick Pype, and also I think we could make a link here with the destinations that Paco mentioned in his presentation earlier. And so those, when we also have even a more helicopter view of those milestones, which we group together, and which you will find not in the detailed Sria document, but in the executive summaries that was just mentioned, and should be available soon. And in which you can see how those milestones from the different sections and chapters built upon each other to reach these very ambitious goals that we have for our community and for Europe as a whole. So really an important point out of that is that all those milestones are definitely not independent on each other. We are not working on the silos, and as Elisabeth mentioned when presenting the overall structure of the SRA, there is a strong link between the different sections, the different between, in particular, the applications and the technology. So the technology, thanks to new technologies and breakthroughs, we can hope also to have some completely new applications. And also from the application roadmap, it's the other way around. The application roadmap definitely drives the development of technologies because we are, as Peter was also mentioning earlier, we are not doing innovation for the sake of it, but we do it for impact. And that's at the end, ultimately at the application level, that we find the impact. And we also definitely are not working in a silo. And this ECS has been ECS Sria has been the opportunity to work with a lot of communities, actually many, let's say, experts who contributed to the ECS Sria also are very involved in other communities and contributing to their respective agenda. So we can, for example, cite EFRA for the digital industry experts, SICAM for the automotive mobility in industry experts. We have also experts coming from the smart networks and systems, so Networld, people from the Big Data Value Association, and also we have a lot of let's say international cooperation beyond Europe with experts also contributing to such roadmaps as the international roadmap for device and systems, for example. So we really hope and believe that this collective effort is an instrument for innovation to break down silos, so to speak, because innovation often comes from making different viewpoints and knowledge sources come and work together. But of course, as highly as we might think of the Sria and of our work, you're at the end the judge of that. And so we'd like to ask a last poll and to hear from you what is the main benefit you see from this document, from basis to prepare project, benchmarking your internal roadmap versus the community one, or influencing funding programs, stimulating collaboration, and understanding in more generally the priorities of topics of the community. And since it is a anonymous survey, you might even reply no benefit. There will be no sanction behind that. But anyway, I still hope there won't be a majority of the people clicking the last answer, of course. So let's wait a little bit for the replies to come in. And oof, only 4% with no benefit. So that's that's not too bad, at least. And basis to prepare projects. So yeah, definitely Okay, so this is very interesting also for us, because there are, you know, we need to understand what is our primary audience, and how we need to what is the level of details that we need to put into these SRA. So this says that yes, okay, this is the main point, and understanding priority research topics, so more, you know, overview of the global priorities is also a strong interest of the people. Okay, many thanks for this feedback. Very useful. And with that, I'd like to give back the floor to Elisabeth for the last words.
Thank you, Patrick and Patrick. And yes, the last words is, again, a big thank you to all of you who contributed to it, and an announcement that, of course, as I said, there will be a minor update again for next year, and so you're welcome to give your ideas. Yes, thank you for the careful reading, and so everybody who has some comments or some feedback, please get back to us, and we will start the process for the minor update then, I would say, in Q2, because all of us need a break now after this really heavy work on this major update in the last year. So with that, I would like to stop the presentation, and and we are open to your questions. And of course, in this presentation, we cannot really give you an insight in all the details of the ECS Sria, because it's a huge document. So we recommend that you really have a careful look at it. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Elisabeth. Thank you, Patrick and Patrick. I'm looking at the chat, but I don't see. Oh yeah, there's one question. If we want to contribute to the new version, how should we proceed?
Well, you can always contact the one of the showed this morning, and say, I want to contribute. The communication team will make sure that that you will be on the contributors list and will be approached.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.